Hello, this is Anthony from mytaphandle.com, and today we're not going to talk about beer, we're not going to talk about tap handles, we're going to talk about hot peppers. This is the part of the season where many of our pepper plants are giving us some wonderful bounties here. A couple of great friends gave me a bunch of habanero peppers, and today we're going to make some habanero hot sauce. I started making my own hot sauce after watching a basic brewing episode from September 19, 2014. I'll post a link to that in my description. Using the basic recipe provided by Ed Nicholson from the episode, my recipe has habanero peppers, onions, carrots, garlic, lime juice, vinegar, oil just to cover the bottom of the pan, and I use salt to taste. Preparing the ingredients except for the habanero peppers is pretty simple. I roughly cut up the onion, I peel the garlic, I roughly cut up the carrot, and then I juice the lime. Most important thing is to make sure that you have gloves when you're preparing the habaneros. I also have a bowl for the pieces and stems for the habaneros, and of course my habaneros. If it's a larger pepper, it's pretty simple. All I do is cut off the cap, slice down one side of the pepper, and then I'm able to open it up and scrape out the seed pod very easily. If it's a smaller pepper, typically what I do is I end up cutting it in half and scraping the seeds out that way. But you do find yourself leaving seeds on the cutting board quite often with the smaller peppers. One thing I do to try to keep my recipe repeatable is I use ratios. Basically, I use ratios by weight. 1 part habanero peppers to 0.4 parts onions, to 0.23 parts carrots, to 0.6 lime juice, to 0.3 garlic, and to 0.33 of vinegar. But keep in mind, the vinegar ratio is not that important. So after preparing my habanero peppers, it turns out I had 750 grams of them, or 1 pound, 9.5 ounces. For the onions, I had 300 grams or 10.58 ounces. For the carrots, I had 175 grams or 6.17 ounces. And for the garlic, it turns out that I had 25 grams or 0.88 ounces. The lime juice needed 50 grams or 1.76 ounces to keep the ratios correct. The initial amount of vinegar by weight was 2,500 grams or 88.18 ounces. Remember, this is by weight, not volume. Oil is for browning the onions. I feel it gives the sauce a little bit of extra flavor. You only need enough oil to really cover the bottom of the pan. For this pan, it needs 1 tablespoon. So first, I add my onions. Then I add the carrots, and shortly after that, I add the garlic. What I'm looking for is just to make sure that the onions get a little bit of brown. Once they do, then I add my first dose of vinegar just to deglaze the bottom and give that a good stir. Here's my little warning. You probably want to cook this outside when you add the peppers, unless you have a pretty stout exhaust hood. Fortunately I do, but even when I went outside, it was amazing how overpowering the smells of the peppers were coming out of that exhaust vent. So, we add our peppers. Now I add the last bit of vinegar, and this is what it should look like if you have enough, just enough to kind of cover the top. I'll now simmer on medium for about an hour or 2. I always check the carrots to see if they're a little mushy. If they are, you're pretty much done. After it cools, and it's important that you let it cool, then you can transfer it to your blender. Don't forget to add the lime juice, that's what you were reserving it for. Then you give it a good blend. I use Liquify and I watch it to get to a good consistency. You can always check and see if you need to add more vinegar to see how thick it is. I like mine thick, but maybe not quite that thick, so I'm going to add a little bit more. There, that's about right for me. Well, I hope this inspires you to make your own hot sauce. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you like these kind of videos, please subscribe.